Good afternoon once again. Today is Friday, the 12th of June, 2020. I'd like to start off first by saying that this morning the Prime Minister had a visitor from the private sector, that is a Huawei company, who came to meet with the Prime Minister and donated 500,000 face masks to Thailand for use. And also they expressed their willingness to assist Thailand in defeating COVID. So this was this morning. This morning, we also had the general CCSA meeting here at the Government House, chaired by the director of the CCSA, or His Excellency the Prime Minister himself. One message that the Prime Minister delivered was that he stressed that Thailand will be giving importance to our neighboring countries as well with regards to the COVID situation, the neighboring countries that share our border. Also, we will be putting in place various measures for tourism, which will be coming into Thailand soon under the new normal situation. The spokesperson also elaborated on the issue of tourism that I mentioned just now, particularly with regard to tourism activities, which would be limited, or what we call the travel bubble. This was discussed in the meeting this morning at the CCSA. Among the various factors that will be taken into consideration for the travel bubble in the future includes the level of infection of countries of tourists, the capacity of the treatment, the level of effectiveness, the duration of observation, the control of the destination, and the tracking and tracing. And the groups that would be prioritized for travel bubbles would include the business persons and as well as those needing medical attention, as well as tourists, of course. And among the various priority groups initially will be the travel bubble of persons coming from the following countries and territories: China, Hong Kong, Macau, Japan, Republic of Korea, Taiwan, and other countries. The meeting of the CCSA also agreed in principle about the general concept of the travel bubble. But of course, the concerned authorities will have to discuss in details the measures that will be put in place to implement the travel bubble in the future to ensure that travel will remain safe and that there will be mutual recognition of testing and isolation measures between Thailand and countries of travel destination. Also in terms of tracking and tracing travelers, among other issues to be considered. So the general CCSA meeting this morning that was concluded just now, there are, I would say, two important measures which I'd like to highlight to you. Important enforcement measures which were agreed to at the meeting and will be effective on the 15th of June, which is this coming Monday. The first is about lifting the curfew, no more curfew from the 15th of June onwards. That was agreed at the CCSA meeting this morning and will be effective on Monday. The Prime Minister agreed to this in principle. The second is to maintain the travel restrictions in terms of land, air, and sea travel for now. This was agreed to at the CCSA meeting this morning. And this maintaining of travel restrictions is for this period, meaning in June until further notice. But of course, as we all know, by the month of July or in the coming months and weeks, that may be changed according to the situation. During the fourth phase, the night curfew, as mentioned, would be lifted, but the emergency decree will remain in place to ensure the containment of the virus. And the spokesperson elaborated on this just now as well, because the rationale for the emergency decree is to empower the authorities to contain and to control the disease in terms of empowering them to be able to conduct swab tests. And the emergency decree, of course, would be the overarching structure for authorities to be able to control and continue to control and contain the virus. And of course, as you know, the communicable disease control law would not be enough for all of these. Secondly, I'd just like to highlight that the meeting also discussed the resumption of education-related activities and the usage of educational facilities. So, in principle, from the 15th of June onwards, in the fourth phase, the Thai schools that will be able to be open are those that have the capacity of 120 students, the smaller size schools, and of course, opening of international schools when and whenever the term is set to open. International schools are allowed to open. Tutorial schools as well as training and academic seminars. The next issue discussed in terms of measures opening up is about the economic and everyday activities, such as the serving of alcoholic beverages in business establishments, restaurants, and eateries, as mentioned on Wednesday. This, of course, will not include pubs, bars, karaoke bars, which will remain closed for the time being, and to avoid unnecessary gathering and prolonged gathering and high-density gathering. Of course, in establishments like pubs, bars, and karaokes, it's kind of unavoidable that the customers will be interacting with staff. The intensity of the interaction is kind of unavoidable when you're in that kind of establishment. Of course, you'll enjoy being in bars and everything, but of course, while you enjoy, there's more conversation, more talking, more interaction. So that is the rationale that they will remain closed. But of course, the restaurants and eateries that are open already can serve alcoholic beverages, and customers can consume it there. Also, daycare facilities, as mentioned, scientific facilities, convention centers, and spacing for public transportation will be allowed to operate. The last cluster of measures is about the exercise, health-related activities, recreational activities, including spas and saunas, except for massage parlors will be allowed to open. Movie production, as mentioned earlier, with a limited number of people, social distancing and strict hygiene measures, amusement parks, playgrounds, stadiums to be opened, gymnasiums with strict hygiene measures. So, moving on to the issue of the general situation in Thailand, the numbers that we have recorded for today, we have 4 new confirmed cases. All of them are actually imported cases and are currently, they were put directly in the state quarantine system. Of these 4, 2 males and 2 females, all Thai nationals, returning from the repatriation flight from India, and all of them were asymptomatic, thus making the total cumulative number of cases in Thailand at the moment 3,129. And of that number, up to 95.4% have already recovered or been discharged, and no fatalities. It's interesting to note also that the 4 cases, as mentioned, were found from repatriation flights put into the state quarantine. And since they were imported cases, they do not add to the number of the domestic infection. So domestically, within Thailand itself, we've been up to 18 days now. 18 days without any domestic infection case. 0 domestic for the past 18 days. The past 18 days only saw imported cases from repatriation flights. Of course, this is encouraging as we enter the 4th phase. So therefore, we should hope to continue with the new normal guideline to keep up with this good work. And on the issue of site inspection, we have some slides for you coming up. The number inspected as of yesterday, we go on a daily basis, 19,644. You have a slide for you on screen with only 10 sites not fully in compliance, only 0.05%. So this includes the various type of activities, establishments rather, as you can see on screen. And thank you very much to all establishments for the cooperation. Yes, moving to the images that we have usually for the work of the Thai Embassy. We have on screen for you the Royal Thai Embassy in Mexico City, sending off, facilitating the return of Thai students in Mexico the other day. Also, another image, the Royal Thai Embassy in Oslo, as you can see on screen, at the airport, assisting Thai nationals in Norway to be able to return home. Just additional points that, of course, easing the lockdown measures in the fourth phase is certainly a positive development for Thailand, for all of us who live in Thailand, who call Thailand home. It's an important step to restart the economy and return to normalcy. And the success, of course, we have to thank you, everybody, and the general public, of course, and all parts of society for their contribution. Of course, this fight against COVID is far from over. We therefore wish to reaffirm that we still remain vigilant. We are, of course, in the last 2 weeks of our so-called lockdown, the fourth phase. Let's get through this until the very end. Please give your full support to the measures of the CCSA, of the government, and adjust yourselves to the new normal behavior, particularly, as the spokesperson mentioned often, using the Thai Chana application when you enter business establishments. If you recall, there were 5 basic principles: washing hands, social distancing. Now it's 5 plus 1 now. So 5 basic measures plus 1 being the use of the Thai Chana application, which is the key instrument for us to use to keep the virus under control, and then move on to restarting the Thai economy in a safe and orderly manner. And for your information, of course, you know that Thai Chana application is able now to be used in the Android platform as well as iOS operating system as well now. So aside from scanning the QR code with the business establishments, you can also download the application itself on Google Play and on the App Store. So just in conclusion, having mentioned the words new normal behavior, I have today some images of how some business establishments, particularly restaurants, have adjusted themselves to this new norm. You see on screen in a restaurant, thank you, picture courtesy of Arhan Restaurant. You see on screen staff cleaning the restaurant before they opened. Also, of course, cleaning surfaces and tables and keeping tables in a safe distance, around 2 meters apart from each other. So from time to time, we'll show pictures. This is another one that the restaurant itself has released to encourage patrons how they care about the health of customers. So from time to time, we show you pictures and images of department stores or restaurants or places that have ensured the 5 basic principles and abided by the various measures as announced by the CCSA. And don't forget, it's 5 plus 1 now, plus 1 being use of Thai Chana, the Thai Chana platform. So very commendable for the business establishments that have complied fully to the various measures. So this is all I have for the English language summary of the daily press briefing for today. We'll see you again on Monday. Have a very pleasant afternoon. Please keep tab of the news and the announcement over the weekend. We're ready to begin the 4th phase already on Monday. So hope for your full cooperation until then and beyond. So thank you very much. Sawasdee krap.